All right, today we're going to dive into some pretty incredible research. It's all about how AI can pick you out of a crowd, not from your face, not from your fingerprint, but just from the way you walk.
I mean, really think about that for a second. Is your walk, as unique as a fingerprint? The way you swing your arms, the length of your stride, your own personal tempo, is that really so distinct it could be used as an ID? Well, a research paper from way back in 2004 decided to tackle that exact question.
So there's a fancy name for this, of course. It's called Gait Recognition. You know, it's a biometric, just like your Face ID or a fingerprint scanner. But the really cool thing here is that it's designed to work from a distance. The whole idea is to identify someone just by watching how they move. A ton of potential, right? But there was this one giant problem they had to solve first.
And that problem, that big hurdle I just mentioned, it all came down to one single thing: the problem of pace.
Okay, picture this. You're trying to spot a friend way down the street. If they're just casually strolling, you might recognize them. But what if they're sprinting for a bus? Their whole posture, their movement, it totally changes. Well, for a computer, it was even worse. That fast walk might as well have been a completely different person. This whole speed variation thing was the Achilles heel for all the early systems.
See, the issue was that the old algorithms were just too rigid. They needed this perfect apples-to-apples comparison every single time. But that's not the real world, is it? We speed up, we slow down. So what they really needed was a system that was way more flexible, something smart enough to look past the speed and find that consistent signature hidden underneath it all.
And this is where things get really clever. This is the first big piece of the puzzle. Before you can even think about comparing two walks, you've got to isolate what's actually unique about them. You have to find their core rhythm.
So, how does a computer actually see someone walk? Well, when a camera records you, it doesn't see a person like we do. It just sees data. And as you can tell from this graph, that initial data is just noisy and chaotic. It's a total mess of information. I mean, how on earth are you supposed to find someone's unique signature in that? Well, the researchers had a breakthrough. They realized the secret wasn't to analyze that entire messy signal. No, the key was finding the repeating pattern inside of it, that moment from when one foot hits the ground to the next time that same foot hits the ground again. They called this the Gait Cycle, and that is your personal, repeatable walking signature.
And this just illustrates the solution perfectly. They use something called signal processing, which is basically just some very clever math to filter out all the random noise and pull out that clean, beautiful, repeating wave you see on the right. That's it. That is the essence of a person's walk, distilled into pure data. And now they had something they could actually work with.
So they had a clean signal for each walk. But now they had to tackle that old challenge, comparing a slow one to a fast one. And for that, the researchers used a brilliant algorithm with an equally brilliant name, the time warping trick.
Officially, it's called dynamic time warping, or DTW for short. But the best way to get your head around it is to think about a music recognition app. You know, you can hum a song slowly and then hum it again really fast, and the app somehow still knows it's the same song. That's because it's using an algorithm just like this to stretch and compress the tempo to find the underlying melody. This is exactly what DTW does for walking. It takes the gait cycle from a person walking slowly and the cycle from them walking quickly, and it finds the most efficient way to warp them so they line up. As you can see here, it creates a path that stretches the faster parts of one walk and squeezes the slower parts of another to make a perfect match. So, here's the key. It's not comparing the speed of the walk, it's comparing the shape of the walk. So, putting it all together, the process is actually pretty elegant. First, a new walk is recorded. That's called the probe. Then, the system isolates its clean gait cycle. Next, using dynamic time warping, it compares that probe against a whole database of pre-recorded walks, called the gallery. And finally, it finds the person in that gallery whose warped walk is the closest match. Simple as that.
Now, this all sounds great in theory, right? A clean signal combined with a clever time-warping algorithm. But the most important question for any piece of research is always the simplest one. Did it actually work any better than what they had before?
To find out, they put their new system to the test. They ran it on a standardized dataset called the Gait Challenge, and they compared its accuracy directly against an older, baseline method that couldn't account for those differences in speed.
And the results were, well, they were pretty dramatic. Just look at these numbers for rank 1, which means getting a perfect top spot identification. On one dataset, the old method was right 61% of the time. The new DTW method, it jumps all the way to 76%. And even more impressive, On another dataset, the baseline was only right 29% of the time, while DTW more than doubled that to 59%. That's a huge difference.
This bar chart really just makes it pop. You can visually see that massive leap in accuracy. That orange bar for the new DTW method is just consistently towering over the old baseline. This wasn't some small improvement. This was a fundamental breakthrough. They had finally solved the problem of pace.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. The researchers themselves put it best right in their conclusion. Their method showed clear improvements in recognition performance. It was a validated success. They had proven that by isolating the gait cycle and using this time-warping trick, you could create a much more robust and accurate system.
So what does all of this mean for us today? Well, this research from 2004 laid a really crucial foundation for the entire future of gait recognition.
So, here are the key takeaways. First, yes, gait is absolutely a viable biometric. Second, this time-warping approach was a total game-changer for handling real-world speed variations. But, and this is important, the paper itself points out the limitations. For this to work really well, you need controlled environments, good lighting, a clear background, high-quality cameras. It's not quite the sci-fi movie magic you might be imagining. At least, not yet.
And all of this leaves us with one final, lingering question. This foundational research proved that the rhythm of your body in motion is a unique signature. So, as this technology continues to evolve and overcome its limitations, what does it mean for our privacy when every single step you take in public could potentially be an identifier? It's definitely something worth thinking about.